James.
Steve, a busy final 20 minutes. How are your emotions? How do you sum it all up?
I think that I'll start by saying I'm incredibly proud of the character that the players showed, and to go down to 12 men and be resilient and fight their way through that situation, I thought is immense credit to them and the way they handled it. And I sure it's a group of players that just don't stop; they just keep going, and that's something they've worked hard to instill in this group, which is not something you potentially have said in the past. And ultimately, we don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to have players. We want 15 players on the pitch, but they dealt with the situation and came through it well.
Does the positive of the result and the character outweigh the negatives of Owen Farrell's red card and maybe that ball facing?
Yeah, well, ultimately, in both those situations, we don't know exact scenarios as yet. One will be potential disciplinary hearing, and one will get scanned and assessed. So we'll see. Now, I think if you look at the game, I said beforehand, games against Wales are often arm wrestles. The nature, Warren coaches a team that's just hard to beat, and they're often arm wrestles, and so that's very similar to the way Argentina play. Games against Argentina. Now, I know they were beaten well by New Zealand, but the rest of their games are always very, very tight. So that's a perfect dress rehearsal for the game in 4 weeks' time as we work towards it.
In terms of Owen, what do you think will happen now? Are you planning to be without him for the Argentina game?
What will happen now is I'm sure it'll be assessed and go through the disciplinary procedure. Now, I'll wait and see exactly what comes of that. I said we were intent on announcing our 33, which is, I think, a real positive step at the start of this week. But I also said there'll be a need to adapt over the coming weeks and coming months. And if anything changes, we'll adapt. We always will.
What did you make of the tackle? Owen Farrell's tackle technique has been questioned in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think right now it'd be wrong for me to comment upon an individual incident that's going to likely go through a disciplinary procedure. As I know you wouldn't expect me to comment upon it if it's going through a disciplinary procedure. Just to be clear, I'll say is that we're fully supportive of working on players tackling low. I will say that without any comment about the individual incident.
If Owen isn't available, do you feel you've got enough strength and depth to cope?
Well, I think the key word there is if, and what we'll do is we'll wait and see to deal with the facts, as I know you'd expect me to, is deal with the facts, the situation, and we'll work out the facts. We'll find the facts out very soon, and we'll deal with it then. We always know, and I think I said to you previously when I discussed the makeup of the 33, I said having three players deep in key positions was very, very important in those specialist positions. So we've always worked on the depth in positions.
On the flip side of that coin, though, how encouraged were you by George Ford's performance when he came on?
Well, George is a world-class player, as is Marcus, and that shows the depth we have here. I'm sure many countries would want that kind of depth. Now, in terms of our game and working with the squad of players, and I think what you saw today was development in our set pieces, so development in our defence, development in our kicking game. There was a step forward from last week, and again, from an attack point of view, we need to ensure we're creating lots of chances. We need to ensure we take them, and clearly having quality players working together for a longer period will ensure we take those chances.
I know you're waiting on the medical staff in terms of Jack Borthwick, but how is he in the dressing room? What's the kind of vibe?
JVP's a positive character, and let's wait and see what happens. We'll get the scan, find out the situation, and then from there we'll make a plan.
It's the ankle, yeah?
The ankle, yes.
And Courtney, what's the feeling in the dressing room after that? Positives outweigh the negatives? How are the guys feeling?
I think there's not many teams win that game, so obviously we can take a lot of positives from it. At the same time, it's probably not good enough going down to 12 men, and if we keep putting ourselves in them kind of situations, we're not likely to do as well as we are today. So a lot to learn, but it's great to show that kind of strength of character so early, and it gives us confidence to kind of push on and get things right. Make sure next time we're out there we get one step better.
Steve, 4 yellow cards, 1 at great disrespect. How do you explain your team's discipline today, and how easy, hard is that to improve and work on?
Well, I think one of the simple generalisations would be just to say the cards. Now, if you look at each one of them, each one was unique to the other one. Every one of them was absolutely separate. I'll look at each of them independently. I think that's an important aspect to do. Now, I think if you look, and I'm sure you do have all the facts and all the numbers in terms of the discipline of the England team that's improved over the last period of time, including last week where there was 6 penalties, and today was, I think the last count I saw was 12, which is exactly the same as Wales, and last week they were 8, and even despite those cards, it was the same penalty count today. So do I think that I think the England team has actually improved the discipline considerably? Am I disappointed with the cards today? Yes. The cards were not. We want 15 players, and let me make this absolutely categoric so that this is clear for everybody. We want 15 players on the pitch. I coach 15 players on the pitch. That's what the message I sent. We know cards are part of the game now, and we practice those scenarios on the pitch, and we did it this week. Practice scenarios on the pitch. Now I must say we didn't go down to 12 men in the scenario, so maybe we could.
We'll try next week.
Okay. I don't want to have to do that one, so we don't want to be in this situation again.
Steve, has Owen said anything to the group or to you about what he did?
The focus in the changing rooms just now is exactly what Courtney just described, and the special occasion of Ellis Genge's 50th cap. And we're fortunate that his family were allowed into the changing room. We were able to bring his family in, and his family were able to see the special occasion where the president presented him with the silver cap memento to his 50th cap, which is I'm very proud of him. I'm sure his family are very proud of him.
And if you have to consider a scenario where Owen does have a ban going into the tournament, does that affect your plans in any way in terms of, I mean, I don't know whether people definitely still go with a long ban, or what sort of.
I understand the question, and it'll be probably on everybody's mind. Let's deal with this disciplinary procedure. I tend to deal with facts, so we'll wait and find the facts out, which I'm sure we'll find out in the next 2 to 3 days, and we have clarity on it, and then we'll make a plan for it.
Nick Gavin was saying if we wait to see the review of the Freddie Stewart yellow card, is that one that you're concerned about, that will be reviewed? Grade 1 was saying it's quite high again.
From my point of view, I don't comment upon situations that like that, and I'll leave it. From my point of view, I think that I've said my piece around we want to have 15 players on the pitch, and we certainly do want that. I think I will say here is that I thought the players, I've talked about their character and I've talked about their resilience. We're going through a pretty tough training phase right now, and the players train very hard, and Courtney doesn't have the figures I have, but when I look at the way they trained this week, it was one of our highest training weeks, and to go out onto the pitch this weekend and go down to 12 men and to still come through at the end, I think it shows the character of these people, but also that the way I'm also confident that as we reduce the training load, the sharpness is going to come in this team. I think we'll improve as a team over the next few weeks.
Nick, Courtney, how pleased are you to be back? Obviously you've had so many sort of different things. Let's felt like one after the other, and to get out there and put a few things together.
Yeah, last season was tough. Obviously made it back for the last couple of games of the season, but yeah, it's great to be back out there, get a good pre-season under my belt, feeling good. Probably didn't play as well as I wanted to, but plenty to improve on, and I'll keep pushing.
And you said not good enough, but obviously you did come through. And when any team kind of gets over the line in a game like that, that can be massive for momentum, can't it?
Yeah, certainly. Sometimes you just got to find a way to win, So certainly did that today, we'll do our very best to take it forward and again keep on improving.
And Steve, in the first half, it was maybe in some ways similar to last week that you sort of had a lot of starts but couldn't necessarily get into sort of multi-phase. Is there anything specific on that you'd be looking at to sort of tidy up, or does that again come into the fact that you still can do it?
Well, I think that the attacks the area will take longest to develop. We know that, and it's where we'll be focusing our attention. And as the training load will, in the next week or two, start decreasing the training load, and that'll make sure these players will start sharpening up. And I think that will also help our attack, and we understand that because we know where we're aiming for. And I think right now, we're on track for 4 weeks' time.
Can I just ask about George Ford, the way he kind of marshalled things around at the end there? Obviously, it felt like everybody kind of clicked into realising it was then or never to get the result, but he must have been impressed with how he handled the situation.
From observing there, and you'll see the same thing I saw the players working together. Courtney here, I thought was magnificent. You see, we talked about Ben Earl, Elliot Daly, Jamie George. I think it was significant there, and I think that shows the strength of this group of men that did what they could to get us over the line.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Go on.
Yeah, go, Chris. Sorry.
Just about Jamie George playing 80. I know why you'd keep him on in a tight test match, but you've got some inexperienced hookers who could really use the game time. I was thinking, were you tempted to bring Theo on at some point?
Yep, Theo. There was a stage there where Theo was going to come on, and that point, we achieved another scrum penalty, and then we got them all. And I thought at that point in time, the right thing to do was to keep Jamie in place in that situation. What we do, as I said to you, the training we're doing at the minute is also developing our players. This training load these players went through this week was, in terms of a test week, the main training session we had on Tuesday. We've never had a test week with the training load that high on the Tuesday, and we know that is because where we're building to is in 4 weeks' time. So I'm very confident that our preparation is going to get the players ready for where we need to be in 4 weeks.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.